things changed in the aviation industry, and this company that we had, SecureWrap, the previous one, came to us and said, things changed, and we need a break. And so, if you go down to 06, fiscal year 06, they had revenues of $4.5 million. Their MAG was reduced to $150,000. That's 90% reduction in their MAG. So on and so forth until they actually, when their term ended in fiscal year 11, when you look at it, they were at 21% of revenue. When it went out to bid, so basically both companies have asked for breaks. And we actually gave the previous company a huge break in terms of what we were getting in terms of percentage of gross revenue. And so, you know, whether it's Italian, English, Spanish, Japanese, whatever, I look at black and white and I look at little dollar signs, okay? I understand that language real well, okay? And so for 9 years, the company made $53 million in revenue and gave the airport $12 million in revenue, or 22% of revenue. If you flip the page, we have the new company. The new company, in the first year, effective 12/30, they had $12 million worth of revenue and gave us $9 million in fees. Second year, they had $16 million worth of revenue, and they gave us $10 million in fees. And last year, and up to this year, they have $5.8 million, and they've given us $3.3. They basically, when you tally it all up, it's 65% of revenue. And so a lot has been said about, well, you know, they came back and they said that they had differences and they want a reduction in the MAG. Both companies have done the same, exactly the same. Actually, the second company did it to a much lesser extent, because we did, the other day I look at this, I'm going, one company's been here 2.5 years and given us $22 million, the other one was here for 9 years and gave us 12. I found it interesting as to the performance of the new company versus the old company in terms of the gross sales, and how much better they were at gross sales than the previous company. And so, you know, I'll take $22 million over 2.5 years over $12 million over 9 years anytime. And so, you know, maybe, you know, why is it that the new or the old company now is saying they can do 9.1 when basically 2 years ago they said they could only do 4.1? That's another question too. Okay. The incumbent company who was there, who knew what the market really was, they only bid 4.1, and now they had somebody else. Now they're up to 9.1.
The Commissioner, and I mean, again, I don't mean to diminish or be dismissive on anything you folks are saying here, but it's like a flack of sod against the wall and see what sticks. It's sometimes, you know, to be honest with you. I mean, 25, and I can assure you now it's 28.8. It's just not a bad grade. You know, I mean, there are many issues that go into that. We have some turbulence, as Commissioner Edmondson pointed out. Originally, I think 28.8 is a good recovery.
But at the present moment, it's 28.8% of the 30% goal. They are in 28.8% of the 30% goal that we currently have on them for the first quarter of this year. The last fiscal year, we ended up with a 27.2% of the 30% goal.
Okay, so the ownership, the change in the ownership of the minority company that was sold to a new owner, so does not affect that disadvantage, socially disadvantaged portion of our community very much.
No, it doesn't.
I can tell you what's happening in that business within the last 3 or 4 years. On the positive part, meaning on the increase of travel, we since 2007 are the airport, the one airport in the nation that has grown the most. Anywhere in the nation, international traffic, which tend to be the ones that require this kind of service. So that's in the plus. On the minus, there was the issue of American Airlines, for example, and others, let's just not pick on American, charging for the second and third bag, even for international, where that wasn't the practice before. So when then you have a charge to second and third, it does affect the numbers. So we've had an increase on the one end, and we have a decrease on the other, which was one of the reasons that Synapsis used to come back to us for a relief on the MAG back about a year ago.
Worked with, therefore, inferred that raising a passenger's bag by up to $30 did not impact the customer demand to still check those bags. And we drew the conclusion, therefore, that whether it's $15 or $18, again, we want to charge our customer as little as possible, but whether it was $15 or $18, the evidence showed that it did not impact customer demand.
Because I hadn't seen it like that. We have a difference of 310 points.
We have not talked with him. Of course, it's on a cone of silence, but it could have been that he misunderstood. He gave, I believe, 0 points for experience for TrueStar, when in fact TrueStar has been at the airport for three years. We don't understand that. There were a number of things that concerned me at the time. The year before, we had received revenues of about under $700,000. I knew that was a pittance of what we could make. The other thing was I wasn't satisfied with the way the machines operated, because the machines at the time had significant risk.
There were more of the documents that we relied on were in Spanish and in English, but the Italian were a lot less, had an impact on our audit. That's all. But the bottom line is that the contract does require that the books and records be maintained in English. So for compliance purposes, we listed both. There is a majority of their sales, which is 93%. Basically, they are done at the standard rate. They do also, all the machines record all the sales, even the discounted sales. And what they do is when a customer comes in and they're given a discount, they're issued a paper receipt only to the extent that, let's say, for example, the standard rate is $15, but they only have to pay $7. They get a receipt that the customer paid $7 in cash, but the fact that that bag was wrapped is counted, and because they've allocated 2 machines specifically for those types of sales, we're able to go back and recompute those items and satisfactorily determine that they were okay. And besides that, they were overall immaterial to the total sales as well. That did not have a material impact on our ability to conclude that overall that the sales that they reported and the percentage fees that they paid were accurate in all material respects. I can say that the information we looked at was sufficient for us to draw conclusions that the revenues and the percentage fees paid by Synapsis were accurate in all material respects. The documents that they may have maintained in Italian were not significant to impact our audit. The documents that were in Spanish, to the extent that it had an impact, I felt very satisfied that my staff was accurately interpreting that information for us.
Okay.
I also want to put on the record for you all that they would not allow us access to their records at that time. Okay, so we were not able to complete the audit because of the fact that they refused to make any records available to us.
But the fact of the matter is that in defense of Synopsys, they have always paid. I've always paid. Not everybody pays at that airport, I got to tell you. Not everybody pays. It's like pulling teeth in a lot of the big companies. So as to the process, you know, I know it's kind of late and your minds are made up, but I ask you to consider that the team that's recommending you to go with the present contracts is the same team that are giving you the best concession program in the nation.